RMS is a brand that has had a lot of staying power on my channel over the years. People always seem to be interested in the new releases, and so I try and stay on top of them on my channel. And they're doing their anniversary sale right now, so I thought it would be a really good time to put on a full face, or as much as I have available to me, of RMS, and also talk through everything that I have tried on the website and give y'all an up or down. What I think is worth it, what's not, who I think things are for. And we can talk a little bit too about kind of the history of the brand and my experience with it. It's gonna be really straightforward. It's going to be a very pretty face of makeup when we're all done with it. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so let's talk about Complexion first. They have a beautiful primer called the Re-Evolve Radiance Locking Primer. I love it. It is radiant, it is locking, it does everything that it says it's going to do, and it's in kind of I think a convoluted reusable packaging situation. Kind of reminds me of the Prada in the sense that like it's a very large container that also contains another container. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. Unfortunately, I let this expire. I haven't replaced it, so I'm not gonna be putting that on my face today, but it is very beautiful. Also, I should talk briefly about their sunscreen situation. It is an SPF 30, so not enough for me generally speaking, but they have these really beautiful brightening shades to them. I would compare them to like an under eye corrector or something from Becca in your specific skin tone in their mineral sunscreens, and I think that they are really beautiful for what they are. They're very perfecting on the skin without being a specific complexion product. They're not like a skin tone match, but they're like brightening and they come in a lot of shades, and I like that about them. I think that they're cool, but again, SPF 30 is not really enough for me. They also have the Re-Evolve Natural Finish Liquid Foundation, another absolutely gorgeous product. I think that that foundation is beautiful, especially in the vein, I'm looking for a sponge. I have to say these things out loud to myself because my ADHD is so bad right now that I will literally forget what I'm doing. Sponge, 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 sponge. Couch, 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 couch. Anybody else watch K-Pop Demon Hunters 4 times over the weekend? As I was saying, the Re-Evolve foundation is uncommon in the sense that when we're talking about clean beauty, a lot of times brands make something that looks like clean girl makeup. They kind of want to make something that has a dewy finish to it and low pigment, and it's not that. It's not like the best in terms of deep skin tones, but it does pretty well. I think that the main thing about the RMS shade range is just that it's not necessarily that it's like exhaustive, it's that people with rare skin tones will find good matches in it. There's something good to be said about that. It's not a perfect shade range, but it does really nail down a few of the like more difficult to match undertones. So either way, that one is really lovely, and it isn't dewy. It's like a kind of satiny finish, and it is quite a bit of coverage. And then right now what I'm putting on is the SPF 50 Broad Spectrum Sunscreen Sun Cover Up Super Tint in the shade Alabaster. So this is also incredibly beautiful and not wildly dewy, as you can see. I think it's really beautiful. I think that they've absolutely nailed down the complexion products in RMS 2.0. Oh, what do I mean when I say RMS 2.0? And I'm sorry for those of you who this is a review, but RMS 2.0 refers to the fact that for the longest time we had Rosemary Swift as the CEO, and while she had a very unique point of view on makeup, it did become a little bit passé in the sense that like it didn't really focus as much on performance as it did on kind of integrity of ingredients, to the point that she was a little obsessive in my opinion. It was like there would be products that like their main selling point was that they had never been heated past a certain point because the efficacy of certain like clean beauty skincare ingredients was like allegedly being ruined in other brands because they would like heat things in order to melt them in order to put them in the pan and stuff, and like that was their big selling point, was that they weren't doing that. It's like cool, I guess, but I mean the audience for that is very, very small, and if you didn't get it and you posted on social media about how you didn't really get it, ooh, Rosemary herself would come and find you. Yes, she would. She would leave you a comment, she would write you a DM, and she was not always the most cordial. I say this from experience. I got Rosemary Swifted a couple of times. Since then, I think that they must have sold a majority stake or something like that, because they brought someone else in as CEO, and she is in all of the ads now. And of course, my mother is constantly messaging me being like, she's so cute, she does all this, like, how is this makeup? I'm like, the makeup's really good. I can be honest with you, the makeup is really good. So it's a little ironic in the sense that most of her original formulas have either been repackaged or phased out. And now we have these much more sophisticated, high-performing formulas in what I have just called RMS 2.0, because I've been keeping up with RMS for a very long time. Since my Clean Routine 2019 days, when things were very much those, again, unheated, teeny tiny little like pans of, it felt like child makeup. It was so small. Everything was so precious. And now we get like real performing products. I feel like we've had enough products from them to prove out the staying power of RMS 2.0 while still keeping, I believe, the spirit of the brand intact. This, I feel like, is still very applicable to the original customer, who is a person who does value like cleaner ingredients and beauty and things like that, but also things that are like kind and flattering to maturing skin, which is great. We love to see it. I'm not going to use their Uncover Up today because, again, it is an RMS 1.0 product, which it's beautiful. I don't think that it's bad. It just isn't in the same spirit as this product. This Sun Cover Up is very sophisticated. It dries down, you know, and the original RMS products are very much like warm to the touch. They soften on the skin kind of thing. And I do still love like their pots of blushes and their Living Luminizer and everything like that, their old highlighter. But sometimes the old formulas and the new formulas don't really synchronize as well. So I feel like a different choice for concealer would go better with this. Now let's talk about the Uncover Up Cream Foundation while I put on some concealer. We're just going to use some concealer from Vive here. It's just the one I've been liking lately. So the Uncover Up foundation was one of the last RMS 1.0 products, and I tried it. I did a full review on it because, again, this is a brand that has always performed well on my channel. Everybody really seems to at least want to know. They seem to be curious, and RMS has had some weird missteps in my experience with them. They had something called, hidden something palette, and it was one of the, I mean, to this day, the weirdest palette I've ever used, because it was like gray, pink, blue. I think there's probably a brown. I mean, it was like a palette for which there was no explanation to be had. The colors made no sense, the formulas made no sense, the packaging made no sense. It was very, very odd. But the Uncover Up foundation was this attempt to translate the popularity of their Uncover Up cream, which is a fantastic product, like I said, into a foundation, and it just did not work. It didn't work. It was really heavy and not like the foundation from Jones Road. I know there were probably some people who liked it, but I mean, it was an impossible product to use. You couldn't get little enough of it on your skin, and it was just molten. I found it to be really frustrating. And so that was kind of the taste that was left in my mouth, and then all of a sudden we got the Eyelights. The Eyelights came out of nowhere. And I remember we were walking around in Shen, which it was a clean beauty store in Brooklyn, and Ingrid took me in there and I swatched them and I was like, oh, not another RMS product, because I was used to everything being this kind of goo that didn't dry down, and then all of a sudden I was like this really high performing metallic eyeshadow, and I was like, what are we doing, RMS? Like, you have my attention kind of thing. I was very interested, and that was sort of my initiation into RMS 2.0, and it's been very exciting ever since. Let's use some of this beautiful RMS Hydra setting powder. This doesn't have that like water feel to it or anything like that. You know, sometimes when they say Hydra, it'll be that powder that has water in it. I like that stuff, but like, I find it to be really pleasant to apply and not honestly that easy to use. I liked the magic powder from Prescriptives, and that was about where it ended for me. But look how flipping pretty that is. And there are several shades in this, I want to say. Yes, we have 3 shades in this. I have this in light. But it is a really beautiful, blurring, lightweight powder. It's like somewhere between the Kosas and the Hourglass. Like, it has presence on the skin for sure. It's a very rewarding thing to put on because it's so blurring. I would say that it is not, you know, the most oil controlling thing in the world, but it is also not as lightweight and like barely there as the Kosas. It's a freaking fantastic powder. It really, really is. We also have this setting mist to try today. I have yet to freaking try it. It's just been sitting there. I don't know why I haven't opened it yet, so we will see together. So yeah, I would not do the Uncover Up Cream Foundation. I've never tried this Master Radiance Base. It is $16 today. It looks really nice. It kind of looks like the Skin Nova from Vive, just on the face of it, which I wouldn't be opposed to, but always be wary of the fact that, okay, there are 2 shades, but still the lighter shade still doesn't seem to go that light. Man, though, RMS used to have this bronzer compact that was just dynamite. Maybe it was a perception skewed by the times for me, but like I just remember it being so gorgeous. But all that to say, their new powders are, I believe, kind of their marquee product. The Redimension Hydra powder blushes, the Hydra bronzer, and the Hydra Dew Luminizer, I would argue is kind of neither here nor there. It's really hard to get it out of the pan and it's a little bit glittery, but good God, the blushes and the bronzers are stupid. They're so good. They're lovely. So let's put those on, shall we? The main complaint that I have is that I can wear almost all of the bronzers. The blushes have tons of pigment to them in a really beautiful, easy to use way, and I feel like a lot of people can get a lot of use out of them, especially for the kinds of formulas that we see that tend to have a lot of mica in them. I'm not sure that these have mica in them or whether it's synthetic fluoroflogopite, but either way, they don't have that like gray thing on the skin that I've noticed. The way that a lot of them do, where like mica is the first ingredient, they managed to do a really good job of balancing it. So I don't even remember which shades work on me in their bronzer. I don't think that I actually kept around any of them that don't. And so we're gonna go in with Beach Walk Betty here. I believe that this one's a little bit more on the rosy side, and you can really go in on these. They build slowly. They're just flipping gorgeous. But again, the only reason I don't talk about these that much is because I don't feel like there's a shade for everyone. And I might be a little more critical of clean beauty brands in that respect than I am other brands, just because clean beauty has always had a bad reputation in terms of being inclusive with skin tones. And so I think I'm even harder on them than I am on other brands a lot of times. But do you see how, I mean, just it's a slow build. I'm really going in there. And I don't think it's hard panned. That's, you would think that being as kind of baked as they are that they would hard pan really easily, and they don't. So beautiful. I mean, it was one of my like life achievements to collect all of the blush shades, because I feel like every time I wanted to tell myself one of them wasn't for me, I was wrong. I would get it in my hands and I'd be like, that was for me. 100% that was for me. And like, God, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Especially because we were just talking about the one from Farah Hamidi and how, yes, it's a beautiful color. It really did look great on me on camera, but between like that and this, it's like I would so much rather use this. It doesn't have that gray thing to it. It just has a really beautiful blur, and it almost just feels like a slightly different proportion of ingredients in the formula. And then also I wanted to point out that the shade M36 bronzer right here from Mob Beauty is a very close match to that Farah Hamidi without being $80 and no shimmer. So if you're looking for that kind of like mauve leaning, kind of funky in-betweeny taupe bronzer, that's a really good one. I had to dig it out and try it. But I mean, get real. Like, how flipping beautiful is that? That is absurdly pretty. And it just doesn't have that kind of opacity of the like gray pigment that the Farah Hamidi did. I know that everybody loves that stuff. I do. And I'm like really glad for y'all. I really am. Like, I'm glad it works for so many people. I think that it's just too much shimmer in the formula for me. I really don't have like favorites and unfavorites in they're all gorgeous. Like, I thought Sangria was gonna be wrong for me, and it's absolutely perfect. Bohemian Girl looks like it's gonna be like too pink, and it's absolutely perfect. They all look like they're gonna be too shimmery, and they're all perfect. I can't explain this formula. Like, it's just gorgeous. And even though, I mean, some people don't like the fact that like this isn't a magnetic component, you could always stick a magnet on there. It even has a recess that you could do that. Still, they are replaceable pans. They pop out really easily, and then you can refill the compact. Okay, so here we have Bermuda Rose, which is definitely less shimmery, or I guess less of a shift. God, that's pretty. I don't know if I've used Bermuda Rose on camera yet. Let's do that one. Let's just see how it goes. It looks really beautiful. Especially like look at that against Bohemian Girl, and you see how Bohemian Girl is actually a lot peacher by comparison. This is a lot mauve-er. So let's put on the mauvey one. Going in with a BK 104. The big boy was the 102. That was what I used for the bronzer. Quite a lot of color to these. Very different, I think, from the bronzer. They do build more quickly, but it also depends on the shade. I don't feel like you have to be super careful with them, but obviously anything that's gonna be a little more contrasty against your natural skin tone, like this isn't necessarily specifically for me kind of thing, you know, I have to be a little more careful. Oh, it's so pretty though. It does pull a little bit of color from my lips, but it is a little bit pinker also. Yeah, I think we can do more than one. I think I want to go a little bit more towards sangria just because then it'll take on a little bit of rustiness. I want it to look a little more sunburny than just pink. And you can see, even though I'm layering these all up and they all appear to have shimmer in them, you're not getting any of that mica gray thing. They're so pretty. And that's what I think is just very kind about them to a lot of different like maturity levels of skin, you know? Because they're not gonna accentuate texture, they're only gonna blur. And honestly, for the uninitiated, a lot of brands have come out with blushes, powder blushes that have tried to do this. The Kosas ones have quite a bit of like a shimmer ripple running through them. The ones from Rare Beauty are basically colored highlighters. There are so many different approaches to this kind of formula, and I think RMS arguably does it the best. It's just so darn flattering. Let's go ahead and go into the Radiant Lock setting mist here, see what we're working with before we go in on my eyes and stuff. I actually am probably not going to use RMS stuff on my eyes. Okay, do we unscrew or do we pull? We pull. Just because I don't really like the new satin eyelights. Such a clean beauty smell. I don't know what that smell is, but it's very specific. Orange peel oil, lavender oil. I can definitely smell the orange peel and the lavender. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a lovely scent. So yeah, that's gonna give us a little bit of radiance. I'll let that dry down, but it feels really good. You can still also get their lip to cheek formulas. So I have this here in Demure. I have it in Modest. I actually went ahead and got a bunch of them. So they're just a really beautiful cream formula. You know, it's like a very, I would consider it to be a sophisticated, high performing. There's nothing like gooey or weird or oily about them. They've really stood the test of time for a reason, and it's because they aren't too dewy, but they do make the skin look really healthy. I feel like, again, they are complementary to a lot of different ages of skin, and they do a great job of having some like funky, weird colors. So I love those. The Bariti bronzer isn't my thing, but it is very much that format, that delivery system in sort of a softly shimmery bronzer. And the Luminizer, Living Luminizer, whatever, it's a fan favorite for a reason. It is a highlighter that doesn't dry down, but it is very, very beautiful. It will make your makeup crease underneath it and stuff if, like, you know, you put it where your crow's feet are or something. So I mean, just be aware. Don't have like unrealistic expectations of a clean beauty product. It is that, but it is beautiful for what it is. So yeah, as far as eyes are concerned, we have the Eyelights and then the Cashmere Matte Eyelights. I do recommend the Eyelights, although they all are kind of the same in terms of like being extremely metallic. It's almost like you don't get a lot of the color itself because it's so reflective. It's like this insanely foiled thing that they almost all just look like that. It's on top of a stain that will not wash off of my hand. Thank you, Victoria Beckham. But that's Moon Dust. We will use that. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom through doing like a liquid eyeshadow look with the Makeup by Mario ones, and then we'll put that on top. Okay, so the Eyelights are all kind of in this same level of foiledness, which makes it hard sometimes to get a lot of use out of them just because every color is like that and it's just kind of this instant wapow. And so having colors in them is not all that useful. Like, you use just a little bit of it like that. It's like, you could argue Moon Dust or the kind of like brown ones are like the only ones you would need. Like the green and the purple and stuff are just not that useful. But that is why I play the game for you, you know? And it wears. Those wear. The wear time on them is nuts. I do not try usually regular wash off mascaras, so I don't really know much about their mascaras. The Back to Brow powder, if I've tried it, I don't remember. They have a brow pencil, an eye pencil, and then they have eye polish. So I don't really know much about their pencils. I don't think I've ever had a pencil from RMS. The eye polish though is gonna crease, just FYI. It's not one of those like amazing dry down situations. I don't know how they manage to do that sometimes. The ones from Phytosurgeons, like, I don't understand how they have something in a pot that dries down and doesn't go anywhere. I don't know how they do that, but the eye polish from RMS will crease. Okay, so in terms of lip products, we have the Legendary Serum Lipstick. That's what I'm going to be applying today. The Legendary Lip Oil, I don't think it's anything to write home about, y'all. It's very thin. I personally, I think this is a very personal thing, I'm not vibing with the trend of lip products, like especially lip glosses, being almost like serum oils lately. They're so thin. I don't want that. I don't like the way that it feels on my lips. And the Lip Lights and Lip Nights. Lip Nights is kind of a weird product. It's very clean beauty. It feels kind of gritty. It has that smell, that specific like clean beauty smell. And I don't find it to be like incredibly nourishing vanishing overnight. I found a lot of better overnight products than that, but the lip lights are quite pretty. And again, RMS does a great job with finding nuanced colors. They did decide to come out with a Lip Lights Cream Lip Gloss in Chameleon, which I have not tried. Chameleon, of course, being pH color adjusting, which is not my thing. And then you can argue, obviously, that the lip to cheek goes on your lips as well. I don't find it to be like the most elegant lip product because a lot of them have a lot of like white pigment backing to them, and they're slippier and they like move more with the warmth of your skin. They move more like a blush, whereas you don't really want a lip product to do that. You don't want it to stay movable because your skin is warm kind of thing. So either way, this is the shade Jane. Now these are weird. The whole component turns and that's how it cranks up. Ah. And the other thing weird about these are wet when you put them on. Like they don't look wet, but they're cold. Much like the magic powder from Prescriptives or any, like I said, of those other like hydrating water powders and stuff. Like when you put them on, you're like, ooh. Or what was the new one that we were just talking about? Oh, the Danessa Myricks Color Fix sticks. They're also cold when you put them on. So that's what this does. This is the shade Jane. It's a very like peachy brown. Or peachy beige, I guess. They smell vaguely of vanilla. You'll never piss me off with that. And what's great about these is they really stick around. They come in a ton of really beautiful shades and they were beautifully blotted. In fact, I think I'm gonna do just a little bit of Spell on my cheeks just to like bring that peachiness in. Just a touch, just a touch. The setting mist did though add a good amount of like glow to my skin. I'm gonna add a little bit of that to my eye look also. I want peachiness in there. Not their fault there's no peachiness in the Makeup by Mario that I bought, you know? And that's such a great trick, y'all. If your eye look is not looking right with your face, just put your blush in your eye look. Okay, I'm gonna do eyeliner and mascara and brows, and then we'll come back and I will kind of go through anything else that we haven't discussed yet. Spritz here. I like that setting mist. I'm not sure that it's like the be all end all, but I like it. Also don't know if I blended that very well. Okay, the Wild with Desire lipstick. It's pretty good. It's an RMS 1.0 product, and I do think that the new Legendary lipsticks are better. The Tinted Daily Lip Balm, if I've tried it, I forgot. I don't know. Again, that's a very, very old holdover product. I have tried the Cleansing Duo that they just put out. I like it, but I think that there are better ones out there. I like the Cleansing Gel a lot, like the actual gel cleanser, but I am very discerning about cleansing balms. And you have to use too much of that one to get the effect. There are some really, really lovely cleansing balms out there that you don't have to work that hard for. Yeah, I think that that's actually everything. So let's go ahead and properly blend that khaki. Let's actually blend that. I did just get a chemical peel, so I'm taking the excuse. Anytime there's a bad blend, I'm like, it's my skin is peeling unevenly. That must be it. So either way, I hope that that was helpful. I did promise you a beautiful face of makeup, and I think that we got that. It is so freaking pretty. And that is the thing that I love about RMS, is that they really understand color. I would say that the one thing I'd really like to see them work on is their shade ranges of their, like, of everything, really. But they do a lot better than they did. And again, I'm a lot harder on these brands than I am other brands who might be doing the same things, because Clean Beauty was notorious for the longest time for just not being particularly the shade range inclusive, but I think RMS 2.0 is doing a much better job of that, and I hope getting a little bit of history on the brand also helps to kind of illuminate why some of these things are like different from others, because it does, when you start to look at it, you're like, why is some of this like this and why is some of this not like this kind of thing. And there are like RMS 1.0 and RMS 2.0 products, and there are really, really good ones in both sides of it. I hope y'all found this valuable. The sale details will all be down below below if you're interested. It runs through the 27th of July. And if you did enjoy this, please give the video a thumbs up. If you are new here or you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe while you're here. We would love to have you. I will put a video up here that I think you'll enjoy if you liked this one. Thank you so much for being here and for hanging out with me today. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.